Hey everybody, and welcome back to Coach Coker's classroom here on Coker Culture. We're going to pretend like my awesome Mickey tie is tied because I didn't feel like dealing with that this afternoon. And this is a project that I really wanted to get out to all of you because it's been something that's been on my heart for quite a while and means a lot to me. If this is your first time visiting the channel, welcome into the Coker Culture Psych-Zone. As I've started to add more and more psychological content to the channel, you've picked a pretty interesting one to watch here for your first time. But if you're interested, if this catches your eye, we do a whole lot of other various content on the channel, and I'd love for you to check us out. Anyway, let me get into the heart of the matter and what I want to talk about today. Most of you that have been following the channel and following us on the socials know that my mom had a stroke back in November, and it was pretty severe. She has not been able to resume her normal day-to-day activities, and I wanted to talk about one of the things that my mom suffers from now that tends to be a byproduct of strokes. Not a lot of people know about this. It's not a very well-known issue or disease. My psychology students, especially my AP psychology students, will know about this and be familiar about it, but even so, I'm probably going to go into more detail today than I even have to in class as it corresponds to the particular issue that my mom is facing. The reason why I wanted to put this video out there, one, of course, because many of you that are interested in psychological facts may find this interesting, fascinating, etc. Those of you that aren't, maybe are personally involved with us or might know my mom, and this may give you more of an understanding. And even for my mom herself that may take the chance to watch this and truly know that, you know, out of everybody, I know and understand what she's going through, even though I'm not going through it myself. But hopefully this will give more insight into you or into what she and so many others around the world are dealing with. And what I'm talking about, and you already saw it in the title of this, but what I'm talking about today is aphasia. Okay, and if you are unfamiliar with aphasia, if you've never heard that term, aphasia is a neurological learning and language disorder that affects a person's ability to essentially communicate effectively, whether through speaking, writing, reading, or simply understanding language. It can be caused typically by a brain injury or damage to the centers of learning and language within your brain. The history of this particular disorder dates all the way back to ancient times when people just first began noticing the effects that brain injury had on language. Over the years, scientists and medical professionals have made significant strides in understanding and treating this disorder. Just imagine waking up one day and not being able to express yourself in words. That is what it feels like for someone battling and dealing with aphasia. That's what my mom is dealing with on a daily basis. She can't vocalize anything. Okay, this can be extremely frustrating and isolating. As communication, it's the foundation, it is the building block of our relationship with others, period, in society. And so this is what people with aphasia are dealing with. Crying may be the only method currently that my mom has of expressing herself. Historically, going back a little bit, the ancient Greek physician Hippocrates is tended to be the one credited with being the first to describe aphasia in his book on the sacred disease, okay, which was written around 400 BCE, before Common Era. In that, Hippocrates observed that people who suffer from head injuries or strokes often have difficulty speaking. And he noted that this difficulty was related to damage specifically to the brain. However, to get even further into aphasia, you've got to fast forward all the way to the 1800s. Okay, in the 19th century, French physician Paul Broca is being credited with being the first researchers to investigate the connections between language and our brains. In 1861, Broca published a paper describing a patient who had lost the ability to speak fluently after suffering a stroke. He discovered that the patient had damage to a specific area of their brain, which was later renamed or given the name of Broca's area after Paul. Broca's aphasia is a specific form of aphasia that affects a person's ability to speak and is due to damage to that specific area of the brain. People with Broca's aphasia may have difficulty speaking fluently, and their speech may be slow and laborious. They may also have difficulty finding the right words to express themselves, but their understanding of language remains pretty much intact. Around the same time as Broca, there was a German physician named Karl Wernicke. And Wernicke identified a different area of the brain very close to Broca's area that was responsible for language comprehension. This was later named Wernicke's area. And Wernicke's area is located in your temporal lobe and is responsible for understanding spoken and written language. His research, Wernicke's, helped to explain why some people could speak fluently but were unable to understand language, while others could understand language but couldn't speak fluently. In this case, their speech may be nonsensical and lack any kind of meaning. And they may not be able to be aware or to understand and know that they're speaking incoherently. While Wernicke and Broca's areas and aphasias are two different specific types of aphasia, they can sometimes occur together due to damage to both Broca's and Wernicke's area of the brain. When that happens, then you have what's known as global aphasia. Total aphasia. Global aphasia is a very severe form that affects your entire language spectrum. Speaking, understanding, reading, and writing. And that's what I think my mom has. It took me a long time of watching her and trying to decipher which type of aphasia she has. And ultimately, I realized she doesn't have just one. She's got total or global aphasia is what she's dealing with. Over the years, researchers have continued to study the various forms of aphasia and have made very significant progress in understanding the underlying neurological mechanisms involved in these processes. In addition to Broca's and Wernicke's areas, scientists have identified other regions of the brain that are involved in language processing, such as the angular gyrus, the supramarginal gyrus, and the insula. However, with all this, there is still hope. Cheddar's currently fighting my gimbal, so there's that. Thank you, Cheddar. Always has to make his presence known. Anyways, treatment for aphasia. It's evolved over time. In the early days, people with aphasia and any really type of mental disorder were often institutionalized and just left to fend to themselves. We have a very, very, very bad history in our country and in the world of how we treat mental illness. And luckily, we've come a long way in the 20th century specifically. Today, there's a variety of therapies and interventions available that can help people with aphasia improve their language abilities. Some of these include speech therapy, language therapy, and cognitive linguistic therapy. Through these types of therapies and a lot of support from loved ones, people with aphasia can learn to communicate again. It's not quick. It's going to take time. It's going to take patience, and it's going to take hard work. Really, really, really big emphasis on those first two. You have to be patient, and you have to understand it's not a quick and easy solution. It's not a fast fix. Aphasia is also not just a personal struggle. It's got a big, significant impact on society as a whole. People with aphasia may have difficulty finding employment. They may struggle to participate in various different social activities, which goes back to that social isolation that can occur and can cause people with aphasia to develop depression or many other different types of mental health related issues on top of their neurological disorder. All of this is really why it's very important to me, especially, to raise awareness about aphasia, something that few people know a lot about, and to advocate for people with this condition. We still, with all these therapies, we need to provide more research and treatments, and we need to create and cultivate a more inclusive society where people struggling with aphasia and any type of neurological or mental health disorder can fully participate on a worldwide scale. And that's my TED Talk. I typed a lot of this out because I really didn't want to be stumbling around my points that I wanted to get out there and make, because this does truly mean a lot to me. I hope that you learned a lot about this. I hope this was worthwhile to you and take the time to listen to me rant and speak on this topic that has very quickly become a key portion in my day-to-day life. Anyways, if you enjoyed this, please be sure to hit the like button down below, as it goes a long way to help our channel. If you've got any questions, concerns, comments, if you've got a loved one suffering from this, please let us know in the comments below. Comments are our favorite type of interaction that we get to have with our community on YouTube, and we greatly, greatly appreciate you taking the time not only to watch, but to say something about it. And if you're not a current subscriber, please consider subscribing, as I am doing more of these Psych-Zone videos. We've got video game content on the channel, and we'll continue to have that going forward. We do vacation vlogs, home vlogs, weekend vlogs. We have it, or you name it, we've got it. Okay, so please think about clicking that subscribe button and helping us achieve our goal of 500 subscribers by the end of 2023. You can also find us on various forms of social media. We've got a Facebook page, Coker Culture. We've got an Instagram page, which is coker.culture. And then you can also follow us on Twitter, and that one's completely different, but that's at MRCOACH85. So at Mr. Coach 85. Until next time, what's your why?